Hi guys, it's Katie Clancy, Chief House Hawker at the Cape House at William Ravis, and you are watching the Cape House Show. So we are doing market updates a little bit more frequently now, just because things are changing so quickly. And if you are in Massachusetts, if you're watching this, you have some interest in Cape Cod real estate, which means you would be tuned into what is going on in Massachusetts. And this morning, Governor Baker announced his reopening plan. And of course, not everybody's, in fact, probably nobody's happy with it. Half the people think it's too fast, half the people think it's too slow or in the wrong order. You know, you can't please everybody all the time. I think we're all doing the best we can with the information that we have. Your money or your life is the question everybody seems to want to ask. And I'm not going to answer that because it's not an easy one to answer. All right. So what I'm going to tell you today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about where we were before the market. We're going to talk about what happened when the stay-at-home and sort of the COVID stuff came right down on us. What happened in terms of consumer behavior, industry response, and then now what has happened since and where we are headed. And hopefully by the end of this, and a lot of things have changed. By the end of this, I hope you come out with, if you're a buyer or a seller or you're thinking about doing one of those things, you'll have a better sense of what's going on and you can make a really good informed decision. All right, so before we came into this, as a nation, as a state, as a region, we were in great economic shape. Our real estate was going very, very well. The industry was strong. We'd been in an 11-year recovery period from our big recession. We see some of the great stats that we had were, I believe, more than half of all American households had at least half 50% equity in their homes, which is a lot more than we could have said in 2009 when people were taking money out of their houses with cash out refinances like left and right and finding themselves in a very terrible position when the market crashed. So we went into it really well. We went into first quarter with a huge head of steam. In fact, when we looked back, like first quarter, in fact, if you even drill down as far as March of this year compared to March of last year, we were still ahead, even though there was a shutdown in the middle of the month. So we were doing great. Everything was fine. And then we all had to stay home, and there was a scary virus out there, and it was a very, very big deal. So what happened next? So we're going to add some data here from, this is from data that I pulled from the Cape and Islands MLS. And you can see on the left, so the blue bars represent seller activity and the green bars represent buyer activity. You can see that very shortly after the stay-at-home order was announced, the seller activity fell very quickly. Buyer activity started to, was falling off. They're like, well, really, is that such a big deal? Of course, sellers were like, yeah, okay, maybe don't come in my house, please, okay? So let's just not put the house on the market or even pull it off. And buyers were like, well, we can look online a little bit and maybe we'll look if it's safe. But, and then right about the middle of April, the bottom fell out. And everybody was just like, forget about it. This is just too scary. I'm not doing this. And then if you look, towards the end of April, coming into now, we have had a precipitous increase, certainly in seller activity and also in buyer activity. If you look, it is improving. It's increasing faster than it declined. Why? Well, there's a few reasons why. One is there's some people just stayed in the market because they needed to sell. The good old-fashioned death, divorce, and downsizing just keeps happening. Really, the real estate market is at its basis driven by biology. Just life stages happen. We respond to them by buying and selling property. And as in essential, real estate agents were deemed essential in Massachusetts. So we kept doing business, but we had to adapt pretty quickly and change a lot of the way we did business. I'm very proud of our industry because we did. We responded quickly, we adapted quickly, and virtually all of us are able to show, sell, negotiate, everything, do everything you have to do for a real estate transaction completely touchless, almost completely virtually in some cases. And we'll get to some of the stats that have really interesting stats that have happened since we've been here. So, but even though we were ready probably in the first 2 weeks, ready to do business. Everybody learned new technology. In fact, people are saying that we did 5 years of advancement and learning in our industry in 3 weeks, really, which I love. I have loved seeing so many of my colleagues just, even though it was just because they were forced to, but adopting all this new technology, and it's not new, and leveraging it, and it's created some really interesting dynamics, which we'll talk about too. So we were ready. The short answer is the real estate agents and community vendors, adjunct professionals, we were ready for the consumers and have been for a long time. It was just a matter of people feeling ready to go forward. So that did happen, obviously, fairly quickly. So our traditional, need to sell people were always there. Our traditional want to sell people had pulled out. Now they started coming back in. Interesting things that have happened now because of virtual showings, virtual open houses, some of them pretty good, by the way. Buyers are using these to be a little bit more discerning about how many houses they go inside, because we just all want to be careful. A couple years ago, the average number of houses a buyer would go inside before they picked one was 12. Last year it was 9, and recently, since COVID, 3 houses. What does that mean? Sellers, that's actually really good news. It is Ryan Castle, our CEO of our Cape Islands, said this morning. He said, selling your house sucks. It just does. It's hard. It's a pain. It's a pain in the neck. You got to keep it clean all the time. You got to be ready at a moment's notice to show it. You got to clear out for the afternoon for open houses. It's rough. And sometimes it takes a while. Well, with this now you're going to have reduced showings. That's good though. Okay. Quantity is not everything. Quality is something. So if showings have now been cut down by 2/3, that's fantastic. So now the showings that you're having are more serious typically. That is a very good sign for sellers. But remember, don't be dismayed if you're having fewer showings. That's a good thing in this environment. Let's see, what else has happened? We bottomed out in late April. Yep. But interestingly, if you look at the graph on the right, inventory has continued to grow steadily, almost in a straight line throughout the pandemic. Very interesting. And that, I predict, will continue to happen. Now, everybody wants to know is, will I get a break on, can I get a deal? Is anybody in real trouble? All these people losing their jobs and whatnot. There must be somebody in trouble. We're gonna have some foreclosures. No, I don't predict we're gonna have much more than before. People are gonna get their jobs back. People are going back to work. Businesses are opening back up. Most people who lost their jobs are going to get them back. And virtually everybody who lost their job is on unemployment, and there is money out there. I know there's not enough for a lot of people, and I know it's not going perfectly well. We're just talking macro right now. From the big picture, the life support that the government has sent down in the form of cash and loans is helping. So this is a much more aggressive response than we had with the crash in 2009, 2007, 2008, 2009, that terrible time. We had a very slow response, then we had a very quick response this time. So it is helping ease any of the concerns about a long-term recession. I'm not saying a short-term recession is not actually happening right now, but a long-term recession is not in the cards based on the sources that I follow. So what we have been seeing, though, is that the classic reasons for selling houses, death, divorce, downsizing, and also babies. There's no D for babies. Toddlers, I can't even know. So death, divorce, downsizing, and babies. This is funny, not funny, but in lockdown, all of those things are kind of accelerated. they're sped up, they're intensified because of that contact. So we joke about it, but there probably will be a little bit of a baby boom about 9 months from now. And interestingly enough, we went into this with a declining birth rate. We went into this with a lack of inventory. And I think we're going to see both of those changing. I don't know. Check with me in 9 months. We'll see. I can tell you something. It won't be one of my babies. That's for sure. Anyway, so some new reasons to buy. Actually, I'm going to go first to new reasons that people are choosing to sell Cape houses, specifically second homes on the Cape, because that's a lot of what our business is here. I made reference to the fact that years ago, when we had the big housing crisis, people were doing cash out refinances or taking tons of money using their houses as ATMs. Can't really do that anymore. So what do people do when they need cash and they need it fast? Well, if you have a second home, you sell it. Because you can't borrow against it anymore, you sell it. You sell it and take that cash, and if you want to come back into the market and buy another Cape house later on when you're back on your feet, great. But that is something that we're looking out for, is people who are like, you know what, let's circle the wagons, sell the Cape house, consolidate, and sort of regroup. Some other reasons that people are in the market, this is buying reasons. People are getting into the market to buy because with all of this working from home, it's turned out to actually be fairly effective. Most people are doing better at work from home than predicted, and corporations are recognizing that too. So people are going, we have clients ourselves who were on a 3-year plan because they were waiting to retire, are now on a 2-month plan because they've decided to live where they want to live, not where they have to live, because they don't have to live there anymore. They can do their work from the Cape, not from New Hampshire, where they're coming from. Other people have been burned for the last time by the volatile, sensitive stock market. That was a big, fat stock market heart attack that we still haven't completely recovered from. Now, housing did not suffer like that. So housing has been pretty steady. In fact, people are looking for, all these deals. We're going to have, foreclosures and whatnot. Prices are going to go down. Nope, I got news for you. Prices are doing just fine, at least right here on the Cape. They are steady and rising in some places. So there's really I just don't think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for flips or anything like that. However, if you are an investor, here's where I see the opportunity on the Cape. Year-round rentals have always been a thing that we are looking for more of, but now because we've got your doctors, your doctors, most of them are not looking for rentals, but some of them are as they decide where they're going to live. But all of the people that we're talking about, thank you, first responders, frontline workers, yeah, where do you think they live? They need a house. They need to be able to live in a house that they can afford. So some of them are renting, some of them are buying entry-level properties. But if they're renting, you have an opportunity to come and buy one of those houses and rent it to them year round. And here's why I think you're going to do better with year round than you will by buying and investing in a summer rental. First of all, our fees, taxes went up. The new short-term rental tax last year absolutely slaughtered a lot of people who've been doing short-term rentals for a long time. They had to jack their rates up so high, it really wrecked the season for a lot of people. I know we'll adjust. I know that the population will adapt to it. But if you don't have to, why bother? You can take the same 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch that's within a half mile of the ocean, put it inland. You will pay way less for that house because the demand is lower. And you can rent that year-round for roughly the same amount per month that you could rent the other one per week in the summer. So let's say you're going to get 10 weeks in the summer. You can get 12 months all year round. Plus that house is lived in, it's living, it's breathing, it's not being shut down and cold and frozen and warmed up again and all the things that happen to a house when you do that. Plus, it's just good for the economy to have more year-round people down here keeping this place alive. As we have recognized with this shutdown, we are really sensitive to interruptions in our seasonal tourism income. So I promise you will see more incentives for year-round rentals. Housing Assistance Corporation was doing like a bounty for it at one point too. I'm not sure if they're still doing that, but so that's that. There's definite opportunity in investing in year-round rentals. We're also seeing, I'm going to switch the screen here. Hide this guy. We're going to show this guy. We are seeing that folks are leaving New York and coming, you guessed it, here. Now, not all of them, only some of them. I'm going to zoom in here. If you notice, so all these arrows represent the top 50 places that New Yorkers are forwarding their mail to. That's where this data comes from. And they are forwarding it. You can see Cape Cod is one of the top 50 places that New Yorkers are escaping to. I would say, I don't have the data to prove this one, but I would say you'll see people coming from Boston as well. Which points me to a really interesting thing that NAR noticed about younger millennials. They are starting to act like boomers. What do I mean by that? They're starting to say, you know what? We'd actually like to live near family. And if that means it's not in the city, that's fine, because I don't really want to share a laundry room with people. I don't want to share an elevator or have to come and go from a lobby and then have to walk through a dirty street to a park to try to get on a blade of grass. I want to walk out my front door and be in my own yard and enjoy my own sunshine. So people from Boston are coming too. Which brings me to my next point, the new things that people are looking for in, hang on a sec. New things, features in houses that are becoming a little bit more interesting, intriguing, and valuable to home shoppers now are the home office is having a big comeback because we can do this work from home thing, the school from home thing. Everybody was afraid the Cape would crumble under all of this, but actually we fared pretty well. We still need broadband. We still need more and increased in access and better signals, Wi-Fi signals and better cell signals in different parts of the Cape. But I think people are working on it. I hope so. Talk to your state representatives to find out about that. But we're looking good Wi-Fi, a good yard where people want to walk out the front or back door and enjoy their own yard. Interestingly, I'm sure you've seen this too, shelters are emptying, which means people have more dogs. We have more dog owners who are looking for places that will accommodate their pets. So again, the yard comes into play, the fenced-in yard, the proximity to good walking places, a good walkable neighborhood, proximity to the vet. If you have a house like that, you can start talking about those things if you're selling it. So home offices are getting more popular, strong Wi-Fi, big kitchens. If I'm going to be stuck cooking 3 meals a day for my family, I'd like to do it in a lovely kitchen. By the way, my husband who's Clancy and Castano, just did our kitchen this year. I have an awesome kitchen. And I don't tell anybody, but I actually don't mind cooking in it. Although I really do like to eat out. So anyway, big kitchens, good kitchens. Good kitchens have always been an asset to home sellers, but they're becoming an even bigger deal. And there is some conjecture that additional freezer space will also be sweeten the pot for some buyers. So that's what we know. Today is the May 18th. We've got a lot of things starting to open. We're going to see a lot of changes. I don't think we can plan anything past like 6 or 8 weeks at the max. We don't know what's going to happen. We will be back here for more market updates. We won't be doing it just once a month because things are changing way too fast. But the short answer is the Cape Cod market is up and running. We are ready to go. More and more listings are coming on. Inventory is increasing. Buyer activity is increasing. We're rocking and rolling. I think we will be really kind of very strong through July. No idea what's going to happen after that. I think that it's just too soon to predict. But I will come back here at the latest in 2 weeks to tell you what has happened since then. We will be well into phase 1 of our reopening. We will have data to know whether we've gotten any more little outbreaks here or there, and if they're going to pull back or advance on the phases, so we can speak more to what will be going on. But in the meantime, if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about, or you want to, I'm going to put the website up here. you want to check us out, come see us at thecapehouseteam.com. And you can also message me on Facebook, find me on Instagram at the Cape House. And I love to nerd out about this stuff. So if you have any more questions about the Cape Cod real estate market, especially right now where things change so fast, I would love for you to reach out. All right, everybody. And if you're listening to the recording, please put your questions in here. I'm happy to answer those. I will be going back to look at this for the next few days. So if you have any questions, please put them in there. In the meantime, stay safe, stay home, wash your hands, do all that good stuff, and I will see you later.